Hi, welcome to a new Plugin Guru video. My name is John Skippy Limcool. Welcome. Hey, so we have a new MIDI effect that we added in Unify 2.01 called NoteMate. And NoteMate is turning out to be even more valuable and useful in ways I originally didn't even think about that Paul has explained and I've tried out, and it's just like, oh my goodness. So in this video, I want to give you some tutorials, some examples of NoteMate, explain the interface, how it works so that you can get around it and know kind of the concept of what it's doing and how it works. It is very, very powerful. Let me show you some examples first, and then we'll break it down what it's doing. So to start with, let's do this. Here is a patch that's got 8 different bell patches. So I can... So NoteMate is giving me all sorts of different things they're playing, right? So if we look at NoteMate, and let's put this over here and then move this over here to the side, I can see where the interface stops right there. So when I am changing this selector here, it's actually changing the tabs, as we call them, inside of NoteMate, and it's changing these grids so that I can like change between here, where it's just one sound per note, to this where they're all stacked. This has been changed to all voices. And again, we'll cover these modes and stuff in a minute here. And I have transpose over here. So each layer I can transpose and set them up. I set to minus 13, want to be minus 12. I can change these to be whatever I want it to be. So it allows me to access and allocate the notes to do all sorts of unique things per patch. So let's show you some other examples of this. Inside of the full standard library, after you've installed Unify 2.01, on the website, the very last thing in the Unify 2 entries is a set of patches that are these bonus patches that way. But if you go over here and you say NoteMate, you will see that it calls up 6 patches that are NoteMate patches. A simple one here. This one is using 4 layers, and NoteMate is just set up so that when I play one note, I get the first sound. 2 notes, it's getting a different sound. 3 notes, and if I get to the 4th note, it becomes a hit. Now, if I wanted that hit, which is on channel 4, to play all the time, I could just go like this, and now the hit plays all the time. Because all 8 notes of polyphony, you get to be like an airport controller and tell it whether you want it to play or not. So I could say, no, I don't want it to play, so I just want the... So now it's playing with those 3 notes in a really cool way, doing things with unique sounds played at the same time without having to do multiple recordings in your sequencer. That's one of the cool things you can do here. Another example, here's one where we have it set up. It takes a second to call. This one has 11 layers. So if we look at NoteMate, you'll see that it's got 3 zones set up. There's a zone in the far left for playing like a cool melody and a little rhythm element. The green zone is the main interesting part right here. And you see it's got 4 voices that are set to choose between 4 different MIDI channels to play 4. See over here? When I get above note number 4 to number 5, 6, 7, and 8, they're all being sent to MIDI channel 5, which is a lead sound. And the fun thing with this is it doesn't have a key range split point like you normally do in a split keyboard. It's based on how many notes you're playing. So as long as I'm playing 4 voices, it plays that way. Now you see there's tabs here. These tabs let you change where the notes are allocated. So I didn't set this up, so it's adding that bell sound. So let's get to something simpler, and we'll break this down a little bit so it's a little bit more straight ahead. Okay. Here's a drum groove thing. I showed this in the introductory video for 2.01, where you can literally have it set up so that each note can play a different sound on a different MIDI channel, and it could be a synth sound, it could be a rhythmic patch from all your different plugins on different notes, or in this case, it's playing drum grooves. So each note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all 5 notes are being distributed. If I play 5 notes, if I only play 1 note, then that is this first note here, and I just turn this off, and I can choose which of these layers do I want it to be. So I can change the order just by going like this. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 5. Now if I wanted the congas to be first, I could say I want the congas to be first, and I want right here. So now 1, 2. So I have the congas, the percussion part. Now it's starting first because I changed it to be here instead of being here. Okay. And then the fun thing with this is with these tabs, you could set it up so that different tabs could be like, these are the different grooves, and then there's mixes, right? So this gets into some really cool, powerful things, because what if you were to not do this with drum grooves, but what if you were doing it with, say, a whole bunch of different sounds for like a live setup, and you wanted to like change between pianos to pianos and strings and piano and organ? We do have this really cool ability that I've been showing you guys for a long time of right click and using an option on the instrument layer, this MIDI enable. Well, this just blows that clear out of the water in ease of use. So if we go over here to the amazing layer selector, this is one of the patches I'll be adding in the next update that's coming up. We're leaving next week. We'll be at the NAMM show, and we're going to be at the Buchla and Friends event in Los Angeles for Saturday and Sunday, showing Unify 2. Friday, we'll be at the NAMM show just walking around the floor. We don't have a booth at the NAMM show this year, but we'll be showing this, and so we're going to have an update out before then. So this update will be out. This is one of the patches I'll be adding to the bonus patches you get, because this is really cool. Check this out. So this has the Church Steinway electric piano, B3 organ, pads, strings, and a lead sound, right? So when I open up NoteMate, you can go over here to each of these layers, and just by double clicking and then selecting them, you can rename each of these layers to what you want. So I've named these already to be acoustic piano, electric piano, organ, all that kind of stuff. So when I play this first one, it's playing the acoustic piano, the electric piano, and a pad. When I go to the next one, it's just the organ. And when I go to the next tab, so you can set this up. Now this one is fun because this is one where I'm using multiple zones. I've used the key ranges here. You just click and drag, or you can right click on the little letters here for what you want it to be, and you can play the note you want it to be for the split point. So I have, for this green area, I could say, oh, I want to add the dark pad. So I added the dark pad. And then up right, I have a solo. And then you can set this up to a knob. And with the knob, I'm able to, let's see, let's get this back up. Move this over here and move this over here. I'm able to use this knob. Oh, I lost it. So there we go, back to there. To change between these different tabs. And you can have a total of 10 tabs set up. So let's go over the interface really quick so I can explain what these are doing, and then it'll make it makes sense hopefully now, but if it doesn't, we can keep going to it. So up at the top, you have options for these tabs. And if you say add, it will add an additional tab at the end of the list. Everybody's turned on because this is its default setup. There's buttons right here for each of these tab columns, so you can clear them out if you want. So you could like change the order around, do all that kind of stuff. If I wanted to remove this, I can just go over here to the delete and delete it. If I want to duplicate it, so if I want to take this piano pad thing and make a variation, I can hit duplicate right here. It adds it right next to the tab that you selected. So if I want to move this, I can go over here to the shift and I can go like this, and now I've moved it to the far end of the list. So you can change where it is in the order of the tabs with these two keys right here. I want to rename this. This is going to be so we'll go rename piano pad and synth. Because in this one here, I want to go to the bright synth and I'm going to turn it on. Without it. And these work just like Mainstage, so that I can change patches seamlessly without having to like have anything loaded, no glitching, no clicking, no nothing. So once you have everything set, you can have up to 16 layers, you can have up to 10 tabs that you change between just as effortlessly as you want, just by choosing whether you have something on or not. And your options when you get, okay, so we covered up here, right? So we've got all this covered. Here's where you have the plus and minus for changing the tabs. And as you can see, they're in green because if you right click on this, you can move a controller number and it will grab it. So now you can change these with MIDI CCs. The other way to change it that is a little bit more predictable because the CCs will only change it in one direction at a time. There it is. So each time I use this slider, you can see it will move it to the left. And then I could have another slider that moves it to the right. But that's kind of not accurate as far as to being able to consistently automate it or have it work in a live situation all the time. That's where using a macro knob comes in really handy. So you just go to a macro knob. We're going to take this knob that's currently not set to anything. We're going to set it up like this one so you can see the steps. So you go over here to the little bullet and you change the control type to selector and then go down below, and now detents shows up so you can change this to 10 because there's up to 10 tabs that you can have. And this makes it so that now it will work and change between, if you set it to 2, 3, 4, like if you have 4 tabs and you set this to detent of 4 tabs, it won't work right. It's expecting to see the whole range of 10 tabs. If you needed to have it only be 4, what you do is you would say, go over here, MIDI, NoteMate, go to the Note Effects. Select tab is the name of the parameter. You would have to move this down to where you see your value here be 4 if you had 4 tabs, and then it would work right. So then it would select, but you wouldn't have this at 10. You'd set it to probably just a smooth knobs like this, like that, right? But if you're going to use a detents and make it so it's like a selector, make sure you just go down here and set it to 10. That way it just works. And then set this range to be minimum to max because it's expecting the range to be for 10 different tabs. Okay. So by doing that, I now have NoteMate set up so that if let's just move this right here so I can see it move as I move this. See, it's changing the tabs. So now I can change between those seamlessly while I'm playing, while I'm automating, while I'm using controllers live to do all the sort of things that I want to do. All right. So now inside of each one of these, you have the ability to see these controls for each of these 3 columns. These columns, where they work is determined by the key split point right here. So when you get it and if you say add, it's going to duplicate it, and it's going to give each of the zones an equal amount of the keyboard. So this makes it so that if you start modifying on the red magenta, that's this one here, and you might be playing down here on the keyboard and you don't hear it because this key range is not set right. So just make sure you're aware that they work together. If you only have one zone that you want to work with, go like this, go clear, clear for the other two zones that are way at the bottom of the keyboard or the top of the, you know, and then have this one here to work with. And again, it's just... So I have it set so each note of 8 voices is a different sound from these different layers. So it's really fun to play with in this category. You'll get stuff you don't expect if you matched it more perfectly. I have another example I can show you in a second with just a synth patch, because then it gets interesting in a different way. But if you wanted to use this like we were using it for changing between one sound to another, then instead of notice this, there's also high to low, which means my first voice plays the 8th note, and then my second voice, 7, 6. So it's playing the opposite direction. Instead of starting at this side of the curve and going this way, the graph, it's starting here, right? If I say low to high, then the piano starts. There's also random, so that now it's randomly choosing between each of these guys when I play a note, which can be fun. What's cool, remember, this is per tab. So you can have one tab that's doing randoms, and you can have another tab that's just set up to do the layers. Then the last option here is all voices. And by setting to all voices, it's polyphonic and it's all voices. If I want this to be with the dark pad, if I'm playing in a church situation or something, and I just want to have this open, I could like do this on the fly while I'm... Turn these off. Turn these off. Go to the string pad and this pad, and then... There we go, organ, electric piano, and bright synth. So that's the power of this. And again, if you want different tabs to do these different setups, then you just go over here and you say either duplicate or you say add, set it up to be what you want it to do for that tab, and then use your knob to change between the different settings, okay? Okay, I got one more example to show you. This is really fun. This is a Zebra 2 patch because, again, Unify works with all of your plugins, and I have it embedded into Unify. This is default. There's no MIDI effect yet, so this is a patch from the Toxic Zebra library that I made for Zebra 2 like 10 years ago, long time ago. But I want to show you some fun stuff we can do with this. So let's open this up and go over here, and we're going to say new MIDI effect. We don't have a default yet for, if you wanted to, like, let's go over here and say to creative NoteMate. If I wanted to make this a default so I could easily call it up, all you have to do is, now that this is set how I want it to be set, I just have to go over here and say save layer as a preset and say NoteMate default. So now in my plus list, if I go over here to add my MIDI effects, if I go down here to N, there's a NoteMate default, which I could add. I have one already, so I don't need another one. Now, it's not currently talking to this layer below it because I haven't connected it. So let's go up here to the MIDI effect and name it so I can make sure that NoteMate NoteMate. So when I go to this layer that has this Unify embedded layer that has Zebra 2 patch in it, and the way to get that to work, you just go to the unified libraries of these. Let's see, did I have it here? How did I get to this? Oh, I did it inside just by adding up Zebra. So check this out. Let's go over here. We'll say Zebra 2. I'll show you how to get it to be an embedded Unify. So I've called up Zebra 2, and I go over to the presets, and I go to the Toxic Zebra library. Let's play with Power Mountain. It's not the string, but what the heck. Go over to this bullet up here and say move into a new embedded Unify. So now it's embedded. This makes it easy if I wanted to change to other patches. You don't have to do that step, but I did, just so that I have options in the future. So now we go over here to the MIDI in. This changes to where we select NoteMate instead of the raw MIDI in, because we want it to go through NoteMate first. And we go to the MIDI channel and we say MIDI channel 1, okay? By setting this up, it's now gonna play one note, and then any other notes I play make no sound, because I need, NoteMate's looking for a whole bunch of notes to play on different MIDI channels. It's looking for 8 MIDI channels to play, and I only have 1. So we go over here. Now, because we have our MIDI in set and our MIDI channel set to 1, we can go over here. We can say duplicate 7 times. And by doing that, we now have made it so that based on notes of polyphony, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So with this, I can now do things like the Matrix 12, one of the really cool, and we have it in the OBXD. You can pan each voice, and here you can pan each patch. So it's even cooler, more powerful. By panning these, I'm now making it so it's got this super stereo spready. And because I'm doing it low to high, it kind of keeps the same stereo field. But if we open up NoteMate, we can go over here, and instead of being, now it's only, so I only want to look in one of these ranges, right? So let's do this. There's a shortcut. I made a preset inside of our little pop-up here. It says only one zone active. Choose that, and it will automatically change the key ranges to the bottom. It will hit clear for the 2 other zones and just have 1. So now, right? If you go down here to the low to high and change it to be random, now every note is randomly choosing between those 8 layers, and your stereo field is now completely random. Try that versus the low to high. It's a cool effect this way because I do have the individual panning per note. But if you don't want it to be quite so structured, you just set it to random, and now it's... And then you can start to have fun because we have other parameters over here. We have transpose. So I'm going to say plus 12 to a couple of these, like this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. Let's say, what the heck? Let's say minus 12. So now, I'm playing random with octaves up and down. Something that you would be really hard to do in your sequencer consistently, and not have duplicate notes and all that kind of stuff. This can automatically do that for you. Let's do this. Let's say duplicate this tab, because I want to do something different for a tab, and then we can go back and forth between them. Let's say all voices. So now it's going to play all 8. I like that. So let's rename this unison, and then I'm going to say duplicate again. And for this one here, just change the transpose. For chords, really cool. Let's duplicate this again. And for this one here, let's make it a different chord. Let's make it minor. So instead of these things that are set, I don't think I have any. There, minor. Just got to change one. So let's go. So you could make all sorts of different chords. You could even get really carried away and have a set of 10 different chords and then turn on automation on the knob that's selecting between the chords to randomly change the chords. There's just so many places to play with this. It kind of makes your head spin just from one MIDI effect that we added to Unify 2.01. Isn't that cool? Another example over here, this is a one note chord. So it's the same concept as the chords, but instead of a fast hit, now it's a chord just, and this is only 5 parts. And I go to another tab, it could be a whole different chord. It hasn't changed even though I changed tabs until I play new notes. There you go, add the nice 13th, say duplicate. Let's make this one here become minor. And again, it won't change until I play new notes. So the power of this is just pretty crazy. You can also do just because when you see that grid, there's other plugins that do similar things. You can do things like this. This is where it's calling up all sorts of strings. And then I have a whole woodwind French horn ensemble. So you can do orchestral things with it as well. We need to get this to be a little bit more complicated as far as to being able to look at the timing of when you play things, to keep them in the lanes, to be really useful if you're familiar with DivisiMate and other things. They do some more complicated analysis of what you're playing that we're currently not doing. And so maybe in the future we will add that. We're really not trying to step on the footprints of DivisiMate and stuff like that. We just want to add fun ways to play with all these layers. You've got all these layers in Unify that you can do fun things with. Here's a tool to really expand that and do some fun things with that. So yeah, we can do, and then go to a minor note and it plays, and then a major. So for orchestral, there is still really fun things you can do. The power with Unify is you can have your orchestra set up and this note management in one patch. And then you can just like call it up in any other song at any other time. You don't have to copy a whole bunch of channel strips and assignments and all sorts of things from one song to another. It's all embedded into one plugin. So hopefully this opens up your mind to all sorts of possible ways to play with NoteMate. It's very powerful, and there's other ways to use it we haven't even discovered and shared with you at this point, because with 3 zones, with all this power, it's pretty fun. All right, so I hope this helps. Keep rocking. We'll see you in the next video, okay? Bye.